Hello guys, I'm gonna be making my part 2, this is my part 2 power scaling video on doors. The reason why I didn't upload last week is because I just decided not to, really because school was a little bit annoying because it doesn't give me enough time to do all this stuff. And right now it's the end of Sunday. So I decided to do this. Now, the characters we're going to be power scaling is just Guiding Light, Mischievous Light, Curious Light, and the speed. And no, we're just gonna go quickly over the speed of the characters, then go to then we can go to the attack bonus and speed of those guys. Just cover the previous guys, aka Seek, Grumble, and Figure, and their speed. And I'm just gonna get to the calcs right now. So as you can see here, Queen Grumble 18. Now, if you want the actual information why they get into 18 meters per second, basically the coldness that they can make, they can pretty much travel that in 18 seconds. And even then, when they're below the ground, they can travel pretty much that speed. Now that would be subsonic on its own, and speed blitzing it would get even higher, which I'll just show on where on the tiering system it is. Now this would basically get into the subsonic plus ranges of speed. Not really that good, but then again, speed feats indoors are a little bit difficult to calculate, as they mainly revolve around either they're just perception blitzes or just not that good in general. But the problem with doors scaling for speed is that they have a little bit of weird stuff that is just very weird, which basically is just hypersonic, probably getting into hypersonic. Now let's go move on to attack bonus because it's getting way too long. I'll just stop in about speed, and we're gonna cover the lights. Now, let's first off starting off by talking about Guiding Light. Guiding Light, well, obviously has some things that are good about him. First of all, he's able to, with the crucifix, actually crucify, Dread. Now, we know that, Dread is kind of connected to time, and pretty much, only happens in specific moments in time, and, he's sort of implied to be connected to time, so Guiding Light can't affect time itself, which is four-dimensional, since if you have time, you also have to have space, meaning he's affecting space-time, which qualifies him for 4D. You can even say he can manipulate the spaces within doors, or between doors, but not to the realms of Curious Light. And that means, pretty much, that he actually would scale to four-dimensional, because of being able to affect and create space-time. And even if you dismiss it as creation hacks, he would still scale to it, as he's omnipresent in the realm and is pretty much composing it in some parts, meaning it's scaling to space-time, which is 4D. Pretty simple. And also having four-dimensional existence pretty much would have you have infinite speed. So pretty much, yeah, you can easily get all the characters to infinite speed for the lights, because they have higher dimensional existence. So yeah, pretty much that would be it. Now let's move on to Curious Light and the Mischievous Light, because they're not that different. And also, yes, modifiers is going to count, because the modifiers entity is kind of like Mischievous Light. But I'm just gonna cover Curious Light now. Basically, for Guiding Light, he kind of has the same things. He can create and place time and just freely manipulate it, and even places things that can actually affect the time within the universe. So he would immediately scale to 4D off of that. But the thing is, he also creates rooms. Now, rooms doesn't really have an implication of having a space-time, but they're still Guiding Light's realms or separate universes, as they are connected within the Guiding Light, but they're connected to the main Doors universe, which means that for if you want to map with the Doors cosmology, you could just have Doors as the main way, and the Guiding Light back door behind it, then rooms on the side as a separate realm. because they're disconnected from each other. Now, that would mean that he can encompass more than one universe or space-time continuum, as in the context of like the Turing system, that would be the same thing, making Curious Light multiversal, which is kind of interesting to think about. Now, the thing is, also you could try to argue vacuum is infinite, or to try to argue infinitely four-dimensional, but that argument is very ratty, as nowhere has been implied that it's actually infinite. Not really that ratty though, as it's kind of implied to be infinite but never stated, which is why we don't use it. Kind of like void. And getting on to Mischievous Light, or the modifiers entity. Oh, and before I forgot to mention, Guiding Light, or Curious Light would have infinite speed. As for Mischievous Light, or the modifier entity, they just have control over Guiding Light and Curious Light, because they can stop you from going to Curious Light's domain or rooms, and can even affect the rooms, doors, and all the realms. All of the doors worlds are affected by the modifier entity / Mischievous Light. Which means it can encompass 3 or 4 space-time continuums, depending on what you treat as technically canon. Meaning that there are 3 space-time continuums that at least it can encompass. Meaning that it's also multiversal, but on a higher level than Curious Light. Now, one thing that could actually make it higher is the fact that, it probably has some fifth-dimensional scaling. You could imply it transcends Guiding Light and Curious Light, which would make them fifth-dimensional, but that's not really usable. And that is for today. Goodbye.